Welcome to the Integration Station. I'm Ashley Michaud, your coach. It's all happening.
All right. Hello, you beautiful souls. It's Ashley here from Elemental Growth, and I've got a wonderful friend of mine, Courtney Ross. We went to school for the Institute for Integrative Nutrition together, and we've stayed in touch ever since. She's been a great asset, I think, to have by my side with all her tools and skills and just inspiration in the fitness field and nutrition, functional medicine, and ironology, which we'll learn a little bit about too. Just another tool where you guys can learn more about your body, how it works, and what you have going for you when it comes to health, and maybe what struggles you may have as well. I'm still learning about this, so I'm just going to pass it over to Courtney so she can give a better introduction of what she's up to and these tools and tricks that she wants to share with us today.
Thank you, Ashley. Hi, everyone. I'm Courtney. I am a functional medicine practitioner and holistic iridologist, and I have multiple nutrition certifications. I'm a personal trainer. I have my own fitness business, and I am fascinated by all things health and wellness and how the body functions. So that kind of drives me to continue my education and learn more and, be constantly curious, because ultimately our bodies will heal themselves if we just remove the roadblocks. Our bodies were designed to heal. We were designed to thrive as humans. And, there's just so much in our environment and in our food supply and in our water that, kind of gets in the way of that. So the more we know, the more we can make better choices for ourselves and stay in optimal health.
Yeah, absolutely. You make some good points, like our environments are almost set up these days, or the environments that we're living in aren't meant for us to thrive in, unfortunately. And we're here trying to, create a world where we all thrive. But meanwhile, what's actually happening, the reality is that, our water is polluted, our air is polluted, our food is genetically modified and processed to the fact that it doesn't have any nutrients left, and just creates blood sugar spikes like crazy, causing a whole bunch of different diseases within the body. So can you maybe share with us some ways that we can take control over our environment so that we can actually tap into that natural healing ability?
So the main things I do is I eat organic as much as possible. I really don't eat any conventional fruits or vegetables if I can help it, which also then means eating out is at a minimum. But I would much rather have better quality food and know what's in it and how it's prepared. So that really doesn't bother me, but it does for a lot of people. That's, our social well-being, I feel like, is revolving around food and what we do with other people. And that's pretty much all we do. I mean, not very often does someone say, hey, let's go for a walk. It's always, let's go grab something to eat, let's go grab a drink. And those things typically are not going to be good for our bodies. So, I do as much as I can organic. The meat that I eat is, I do grass-fed beef and organic chickens. There's a farm about 40 minutes from me that I go and get my meat. I get eggs there. I get organic, fresh, whole wheat flour, in the instance that I use, wheat, but I get organic spelt berries there. There's so much that you can control. You just have to understand what the what the mainstream things out there are doing to your body. And that's just it. There's all these fake health claims and all these things that are on labels or in advertising, in commercial marketing. And it's knowing how to see through that and knowing that, there are certain laws they have to abide by, but there's a lot of loopholes. So there can be a lot of false statements or misleading statements. And, once you know that, then you can make better choices for yourself, because that's really, the more education you have around these things, the better decision, making you will have. And that's really the key, because everything we put in our body sends a signal. Are you going to send a signal for health, or are you going to send a signal for disease? And it's all in our control. We just have to know how to make those good decisions.
Yeah, I love that. Decisiveness is so important. You know, this is I don't know if it's just our generation or if it's, you know, all the generations really, just like a people thing, but we become very indecisive. You know, it's what is pushed upon us. I even see it, like what you're saying about the fake claims and health fads and stuff. You know, I even see that with my son, who knows nutrition pretty well for a 6-year-old. But you know, he'll see a bunch of fresh fruits and berries on a juice box and be like, "Mom, can I have that?" And it's like, no. But you know, it's not the same thing, because when you actually read it, which comes into another portion of it, is reading the ingredients, you see there's no actual real fruit in there. It's like colors and dyes and sugar in 3 to 5 different forms. You know, it's pretty much liquid death, you know, just with a fruit flavor to help you guzzle down the poison. It's pretty insane today. And I think that it's really important, as you said, to get that information for yourself. And that brings me into the curiosity, Courtney. What inspired you to start this path for yourself?
So in my 20s, which was kind of a long time ago, in my 20s, my career was modeling. That's what I did for work. And you know, it was always based on you could never be too thin, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I didn't want to get fat, and I didn't want to, you know, eat bad stuff, but I still ate pretty much whatever I wanted. The one thing I had to my benefit was I grew up with really severe allergies. So I never drank pop or soda or whatever you call it. I'm in the States, and where I'm at, we call it pop, but I never drank any of that. And so I was drinking water before water was cool. And, you know, that was something that I didn't have to get used to. But I used to be the burgers and fries girl and donuts and all that stuff because I was thin. Like, I was a runway model. Who cares? You know, I ate whatever I wanted. But, you know, the more I started thinking about it, I was like, if I want longevity in this industry, I need to make sure that I keep my body, you know, fit and lean. And that really started me working out and giving a little more thought to what I ate, and you know, realizing that you can't out exercise a poor diet, because if you could, I would be the queen. And so I just had to start to change things. And the more I realized what was in our food and how that could have contributed to health issues that I had, I was diagnosed with cancer at 24. And when I started to think back on how events in my life played out and what my lifestyle was like and things like that, it really started to make me think and realize that there is a lot to what we put in our bodies. You know, I mean, the two main things are deficiency of nutrients and overload of toxins. And the third component to disease is basically, you know, the emotional component, you know, with how we're brought up, or ancestral trauma or things like that. And so, you know, those three things will determine whether or not you're well. And we really have control over all of them. Some are easier than others, and some take some unraveling, but we really can make a difference in our own lives by taking control of those things.
In your own life, what were your first steps of taking control, if you can remember, or what would be a piece of advice for taking control for anybody watching this today?
You know, I don't really remember what I did. I mean, I still, you know, struggle with sugar. That's always been a vice for me, but I don't drink, I don't smoke, I've never touched a drug. Like, I'm super, straight and narrow. I'm super nerdy like that, you know, but that doesn't mean that what I'm doing is any better than what somebody else is doing, because I still like sugar. I like cake. You know what I mean? So it's not good for the body, you know? And so we all have our vices, and it's kind of, the more you understand about what's, like I said, what's in your food, what's in your water, there's a lot of bad stuff in our water. So if you're drinking tap water, stop drinking tap water. If you have a filter on your refrigerator or something basic like that, it's not enough. But you know, the more I started to realize, and then I could say, all right, this is important to me. If I really want to eat this thing or do this or whatever it is, then how do I weigh the pros and cons and what's actually best for me and what will help me in the long run to make better choices and stay on the path that I want to be on? Because there are consequences for the things that we do. Oh, my landscapers are here, excuse them.
Yeah, Finn's calling for me too, so.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of making executive decisions for yourself and saying, this is worth it to me or this is not, because everything we do has a consequence. And it may not be a consequence tomorrow, but it will be a consequence down the road if we stick with those habits that aren't good for us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Courtney. I'm just going to pause just for a second because I do have to be of assistance to my son here, but I'll be right back, okay?
Sure.
I so apologize. Thank you for your patience.
Sure.
Yeah, you made a lot of really good points there. And I want to get back into the one of just the body heals itself, and that we just have to get out of our own way. You know, if we're making the decision to just go buy a bottle of water, a case of bottled water because it's $1.99 at Walmart, you know, that bottled water isn't really going to help you. Oftentimes it's fluorinated. Oftentimes you got the BPA and the conditioners and stuff like that from the plastic. You know, that's not the same as going to a freshwater spring, which may be out of the way, but guess how much else you can do when you go to that freshwater spring? Have a family experience, be out in nature, you know, be accessing fresh water, be walking, you know, getting that exercise in. You know, this is the same with food. I'm running a few gardens this year. I just love it. Like, I love just being barefoot with the food and growing food. I've got this bit of an obsession going on around permaculture and mixing psychedelics with permaculture, and how it is that I can bring it all together in that kind of a model. So I'm so for that, but I understand that not everybody can has those kinds of opportunities very accessible to them. But what they do have is access to the farmers who are doing it. Right? Like how you were saying, you go to get your grain from a grain mill. We do that too here. Our eggs, we don't have chickens, so we go to the farmer who has chickens. You know, we're voting with our dollar, you know, and I think that that's really important too for creating that new environment where we are able to thrive as a species instead of, being the first generation where our children aren't expected to live longer than us. You know, unfortunately, the expectation rate is that they're going to be sick longer and live shorter lives. I'm not okay with that. You know, I'm not even okay with seeing my friends or family go through something like that, go through heart attacks or cancer or anything. I don't want to see that stuff. What does Dr. Mark Hyman, he calls it diabesity instead of diet. Yeah, I can't even remember, but it's something about diabetic and obesity mixing together. And it's like, you know, I don't want to see that, you know, 1 in every 2 people have this issue. You know, it's a really big issue that nobody's really discussing. But what a solution that I'm hearing is just taking your power back. And that could start with where it is that you're spending your money. Going for the farmer or the butcher box that's supporting local fishermen and butchers and things like that, you know, and it's all grass fed, you know, those are good options. If you were able to just do an audit of, you know, where you're spending your money right now and say, okay, this is aligned to my health, this isn't, the average person would be able to be saving money switching to this to a more healthy lifestyle. It's not cheap going to restaurants all the time. It's not sustainable either.
Yeah,
Pardon?
You pay for it one way or another. You either pay for it now by taking care of your body and, you know, spending a little more money on higher quality food, or you pay for it later with the deductibles and all the healthcare stuff. I mean, I'm in the States, so our health care is different than yours, but you know, you will pay one way or another. You know what I mean? Whether it's poor quality of life in the future. So, you know, you spend all this time trying to save money and now you can't enjoy it because you can't get around. You're not healthy enough to do things and travel and climb stairs and all that. Yeah. You know, and I would rather, you know, tomorrow is not promised to any of us. So while I don't eat perfectly, you know, I still enjoy my goodies every once in a while. I think it's important that, you know, the meat that I eat is good quality. You know, I'm not eating fake meat. I'm not, you know, eating fake weird things. Like, I want good quality grass-fed beef. I want real eggs. If I choose to eat vegetables, I want them to be organic, and same with my fruit. My water, I drink, you probably can't hear it, but back there I have my water distiller going. I drink strictly distilled water. I want pure water. And so it's, those are just choices that I make for myself. And it takes a little while to adjust. It can be overwhelming for somebody who wants to make changes. So do things one at a time. When you use something up, I don't expect people to go out and just throw away everything in their refrigerator or their cupboards or their cleaning, pantry. Do it at a pace that is acceptable to you. I didn't throw out everything and start over. As I used something up, I bought a better version. And some of it's trial and error, you know what I mean? And so once you get into the habit of doing that, then it's no different than going down the junk food aisle and grabbing your usual snacks. Now you either find the better cleaning supplies online, you place that order, it gets, automatically delivered, or you just go to a different place in the store and grab a few better choices. So, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but, I feel good that I do that for myself and, for my dog. I mean, my dog doesn't get tap water. My dog doesn't eat, regular dog food. Her food gets shipped in and, it's human grade, it's real food. And I'm not going to eat that way. I'm not going to give it to her. So, like I said, you pay for it one way or another. You just have to decide when you want to do that.
Yeah, I like what you said about your dog, that you're going to treat your dog the same way too, because that's another thing that I see about a client I've been working with a couple of years, and she works with animals, and that's one thing that she's always saying is all of these animals, whenever she goes to house sit or do a training or anything, they're always on medications or they're sick or they're whatever. That's why she has a job. But unfortunately, she only has so much time that she can give them the advice that they want, and it's up to the owners whether or not they want to take it or not. But for any pet owners out there that are working to take care of their own health, it is an asset to do it for the whole family, and that includes the fur babies.
Yeah, and you have to make decisions sometimes on what you can spend money on and what you can't. You know what I mean? Because funds aren't unlimited, and I don't know about there, but we'll stay away from the politics. But inflation here is ridiculous.
Yeah,
and
we're feeling it too.
Is jumping like pretty much by the day or by the week. And so, just in this last month, our gas has gone up 50 cents a gallon. Yeah. So
we've doubled from last year. I go out every October, bring the kids up the mountains. And I remember telling the kids, find 95 cents or less and I'll get it. And we found it for 95 cents or even 99 cents or something. And now it's $2. So
I'm paying for premium. I drive a big V8 SUV that has a 25-gallon tank, and premium is like almost $5.50 a gallon. Yeah. So it's, it's ridiculous. And a couple years ago, right before the inauguration, it was like $2.25, $2.50.
Yeah.
So it's been, of course, this is all planned and all those things. And we, I'm sure probably most of your people are well aware of what we're talking about. So yeah, but it's getting crazy, and you have to make decisions sometimes on what is worth spending the money on. And fruits and vegetables that you eat the skin, those are worth it. Pineapple, okay, maybe not as much. Bananas, not as much. Tomatoes, apples, berries, yes. Eating the good quality meat, absolutely. There was a study that showed the difference between conventionally raised beef and grass-fed beef, and conventionally raised beef had high omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, which obviously, we don't want. We want to keep the omega-6s low. They're often inflammatory in the body. We do need them, but our ratios are usually out of balance, and that is a driver of inflammation. Whereas if you buy grass-fed beef, that has the same omega-3 profile as deep-sea fish. That's a big difference. And, some people like fish, some people don't. But to get that from red meat, and there's plenty of nutrients that you can only get in red meat. And so it's important that if you are a meat eater, that you eat the quality meat. And if you're not, if it's a choice, then, that's fine too. Just make sure that you supplement so that you can try to keep your body as optimal as possible. And whatever it is that you do enjoy eating, just do the best quality you can afford.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll share like a little story too. Like I've been, I wouldn't say I'm been vegan, but a lot of the stuff that I eat would be considered like plant-based diet, but I still will go to the farm and get eggs more often now. But in the past it would be like in the spring, like the 3 months out of the year, and fishing, I do salmon. In the fall, that's 3 months out of the year. Now I'm opening more up to me, and it's been years, and I think one of the main reasons is because there's been such a push on fake meat, and I never touch that stuff. It's not for me, it's not my style, but I'm curious from you, what's your take on it? What do you see from this fad and with your experience so far?
Well, I think that Bill Gates has his hand in all sorts of things he shouldn't have his hands in. And if it's not real meat, don't eat it. I mean, if you don't want to eat meat, if that's your choice, then
why
that's
eat
cool.
fake? Yeah.
Don't eat it. But they make these fake burgers that are supposed to bleed. Ew. Like, and I remember seeing them on sale at the grocery store when they first got them. I think they were the Impossible Burgers, and I was like, oh, I didn't know what they were. This was probably 5 years ago or something like that. I was like, oh, I should see what. And I brought them home, and they looked like ground meat, like they were pressed out of, like, you know what I mean, like how ground meat has. And I was like, all right. And I looked at them, and I think I even put one in a skillet, and I couldn't do it. I threw it away. I couldn't eat them. I didn't even take a bite. I just couldn't do it. I was like, this looks too. There's something that's creeping me out about this. I can't do it, and I threw it away.
Yeah, I've seen them on sale and bought them, and I did the same thing. I couldn't eat it. I didn't even take it out of the package. It grossed me out. Like normally I would think like opening up regular meat would kind of gross me out if it was all bloody, but I didn't even open up the fake meat ones. I was like, no, it's not for me.
Like our bodies intuitively know something's not right with that. You know what I mean? Our bodies are like, don't do it. Yeah. So, and clearly we both listen, so good for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just...
The ingredients too, I noticed just in reading them, like just out of curiosity, I go grocery shopping, so I read the ingredients on things. I'm trained that way through nutrition school.
If you can't pronounce it, you don't buy it.
But it's all gluten and stuff like that, which is a really big inflammation marker as well. And a lot of people are allergic to it.
Well, I mean, there's a difference. So some people, like there's people that have celiac, and that is, a genetic, condition that you cannot have gluten, but there's plenty of other people that have an intolerance. And, a lot of that is caused by the pesticides that are on it and the fact that it's genetically modified, because people didn't have these reactions to gluten 50 years ago before our food supply was adulterated. And plenty of people will say that they can go overseas and eat pizza and they feel fine, and they eat pizza here and things aren't going so well. Because of the difference in the gluten, because there are other countries in Europe, I don't know what, how you guys handle things, but there are countries in Europe that don't allow genetically modified wheat like we do here. And it's something that, I taught a lunch and learn at a business here, a wealth management company, just yesterday. And it's something that I was discussing, the 3 patents that are on glyphosate and why it's so bad and what has happened to our food supply, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal because it is a big driver of whether or not our bodies are well.
Yeah, and why are the same people have their hands in both the glyphosate, which was even used in like the wars as like mustard gas? This stuff is not good for us, but why is it owned by the same people who are creating our food? I think more people need to be looking into this and voting with their dollar for, the kind of lifestyle that they want for themselves and their children. And it's not an easy process, but trust me, anybody who's watching there, you're not alone. There's tons of communities out there, and just join one, choose. Do you want the nutrition one? Do you want the fitness one? What do you need? Because it all integrates together. And there's a lot of people on this journey right now.
Yeah. And around here, there were people who have looked into that stuff, and those people have been blacklisted. They've lost their jobs. I mean, it's no joke what happens to the people who seriously look into that stuff and who are trying to blow the whistle and trying to do the right thing. those people are blacklisted, they are removed from jobs, they are threatened. It's interesting to see, or hear about what's really going on with some of these things. Yeah. So,
I thought it was pretty coincidental you mentioning that remember, like in nutrition school, we learned about the dirty dozen, right? Well, when all this COVID stuff happened, they came out with their own list of the dirty dozen teachers and influencers that were anti-vaxxers and creating this. And I'm like, why did they take the same word? And they're going after all the people who are, been warning us all this time to take care of our health so that, we can be immune to whatever comes in the future. But, things didn't, completely go that way. Instead, there was a different kind of intervention. But,
yeah, here they were calling them the disinformation dozen. And it's just like, those are the people. Anything that you find now that is censored or whatever, it's like, that's the stuff that you want to look at. That's the stuff that you want to investigate. And it's some of those resources are getting harder and harder to find around here.
Yeah, we get it too. And while we are in Canada and, they say it's free healthcare, I'll tell you, it's only free what the government wants to push. If you want special testing, you still have to pay for that. And sometimes it's cheaper to pay for that testing by going through somebody like yourself that's in the United States and is able to run those kinds of tests. And, so in Canada, we can still rely so much on you guys for what you're willing to do for a better rate than what we get charged here in Canada.
Yeah, insurance won't accept someone like me. You know what I mean? It's
or us either.
Yeah, because they don't want anything to do with what I do, because my goal is to try to get people out of the system. I'm not trying to make somebody a customer for life like Big Pharma is. So, that is kind of frowned upon because I want to help somebody and send them on their way. And, that's not their MO. I ultimately want to educate somebody, help them get better, help them know how to make better choices, and teach them how their body will heal itself. That's ultimately, I'm not healing anybody. I'm giving them the tools so that their body can do it on its own, because that's what we're designed to do.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true. Our bodies have everything that they need. My son does it all the time where he's like, oh no, I'll heal. Like, I've got the essential oils. I make my own creams. I'm a herbalist, but he's like, no, my body's good. It'll do all the work itself. Like, he already knows.
That's great. I mean, It's so profound to have that belief in place at that age, because so many people don't. They believe that they need to rely on somebody else instead of having that belief in themselves. And that goes a long way as to how your body will react, for sure.
Yeah, because it's all training. It's locked away in the cells as information. The same kind of information that we can get from nutritional food. But that information is lost eating the processed stuff. That information is lost when it's, when we're programmed to obey doctors and sciences. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with science. There's definitely not. But the one thing I know about science is that it's all about asking questions, and that the best scientists fight both sides of the argument because they want to know that subject inside and out. And that what's going on with science today is not what it was before. Now it's more of a religion. You either believe it or you're going to hell. And on that, Courtney, I just we have a couple minutes left here. I'm wondering if there's anything else you'd like to share, or any advice you'd like to leave anybody with here today.
Just be a critical thinker. Question the things that you're told. Question the things you see on TV. Really wonder who has your best interests at heart. You need to be your own best advocate. And if you don't, nobody else will. So take the time to educate yourself, and know that once you have that knowledge, you will always have that knowledge. It doesn't go away. And so it's worth investing in yourself to kind of be able to put your best foot forward, make the best decisions for yourself, and feel confident that you're doing the right things for your body.
Yeah, thank you so much, Courtney. I really appreciate having you here. We'll do it again, because every single time, we've collaborated a few times now, but every time I just it's never long enough. One time we'll have to do 5 hours or something, Joe Rogan style. Yeah.
Perfect. Right. Thanks so much for having me, Ashley.
Thank you too. I'll link all your information so everybody can contact you below. But if you just want to let everyone know your website or number or email.
Sure. My website is missmoxiefit.com, MISSMOXIEFIT.com. And my email is trainercourtney5@gmail.com.
Thank you so much, Courtney. Definitely look this girl up. She's amazing and will definitely inspire you guys to stay fit and healthy. I love you all so much. Goodbye for now.